The Biden administration is suddenly canceling plans to refill the nation's emergency oil reserve amid high prices.
Around the time Joe Biden entered office, we had over 630 million barrels of oil. But he has since depleted 43% of it so far during his time in office.
Here to react is Power the Future founder and executive director Daniel Turner. Daniel, thanks for joining us this morning. So why did he deplete it, and why doesn't he want to refill the source of that?
Yeah, if you recall back in 2022, heading into the midterm elections, gas prices were actually higher than they are now. And the Biden administration wanted to stabilize that purely for political reasons. And so he tapped into the reserves. Look, even Joe Biden knows the basic laws of economics. If you increase the supply and the demand stays the same, prices will come down. But that's not the purpose of the strategic reserve, right? It's reserved for a national security emergency, a natural disaster, as we saw in Hurricane Katrina, where we used more than 2 weeks worth of reserves. This was purely political reasons. It's a really nefarious use of government goods, the American taxpayers' goods, for political purposes. But this is Joe Biden we're talking about, and that's why we depleted it back in 2022.
So what I wanted to ask you, Daniel, is what is an appropriate use of the strategic petroleum reserve? But you gave us two examples there with with Hurricane Katrina, and I imagine in a moment of national war when we need, emergency fuel. That's what it's supposed to be used for. He used it to lower the gas price. But to Rachel's question, why not refill it?
Yeah, exactly. And they made this promise, and Joe Biden actually was asked, and he gave a press conference and said that he had a plan to start refilling the reserves. But they canceled it last week. And the reason why they canceled it is because gas prices are high again. Oil prices are high. A talking point that we haven't really mentioned and that isn't getting a lot of coverage, we're down around 800,000 barrels a day production since the beginning of the year. And that's a really big number considering America only produces around 13 million barrels a day. That's part of what's driving high prices. China is coming out of 4 years of pandemic and their economy is taking off again, and their demand is increasing, and that's driving high prices. So the Biden administration says, hey, look, I know we promised we're going to refill the reserves, but we're not going to do it now because prices are high. That means you and I still have to pay high prices. Right? Just the Biden administration refuses to pay those high prices. And now we cross our fingers. Right now we say, let's hope there's no natural disaster. Hey, we didn't predict an earthquake yesterday. Are we predicting a hurricane to take out the Gulf Coast sometime in October? Who knows? And that's the risk that we're running, is we have fingers crossed energy policy.
It's a great point. So it was a re-election reserve for Joe Biden in the midterms, or an election reserve. But if I recall, it was Donald Trump who filled it up, and it was when oil was low, right? So that's what you're supposed to do. Buy it when it's cheap.
Exactly. And actually, Trump wanted to fill it to its full capacity, which is around 900 million barrels a day. And Congress precluded him. Chuck Schumer still brags to this day and was very loud about the fact that he stopped President Trump from filling the reserves when oil was $35 a barrel. So look at the situation that we're in right now when we play petty politics with our energy policy. And the ones who are suffering the most are the American people. We see it in our food prices, our gas prices, our utility prices. So Congress and Joe Biden are playing these political games to try to keep the White House, to try to keep the Senate in November, and the American people suffer in the process.
American people are suffering, but I think they're onto it. They want to be energy independent. They want the energy policy that Donald Trump had. But the climate activists are in the ear of the president, unfortunately. Well, Daniel, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
You got it.